Morning, everybody. Hope everything is going well for you. Welcome to a Friday edition of Dan's At Home Update. If you're unfamiliar, I'm Dan Gresham in my home, in my studio this morning, and it's a broadcast studio, but it also doubles up as an art studio as well. We've been doing this for quite some time as far as morning updates, where I come home from work, sit down, we spend a few minutes, and we talk about things that are happening in our community. Always preface it by saying this is not a newscast. I'm not sitting on a set. I'm directing. I am also anchoring, and these are opinions are mine. It's just conversational topics. This is not intended to be, as we used to call it, the newscast of record. This is intended to be you and I having a discussion, talking about things that are going on. Always invite you to be a part. You may say, well, how can I do that? Well, you can comment just like you would on any other Facebook post, at the bottom of the page. I see what you're saying. I can even put it up on the screen so that you can see it as well. There you go. Carol, good morning there in Elkhart. Jessica, buenos dias to you as well. Hope everything is well with you. Joanne's there this morning. Carlene, Les Hayhurst. You can see what I'm saying. It's there. I can communicate with you. You can communicate with me. You can ask questions. You can post comments. And if I don't read it on the air, I see them and I will read them and I will hopefully respond appropriately to you. I know the number one thing on everybody's mind this morning. Yeah, I was telling the staff this morning at the television station, 35 years, really 40 years of being in Southeast Texas, working, watching storms and tracking them across the Gulf. Would never pretend to be a meteorologist. It's just observational, sitting next to meteorologists and some of the best in the business, which I consider Greg, certainly Bostwick, to be maybe the preeminent meteorologist along the Gulf Coast. I'm a little bit biased, but I have sat through storms. I have weathered storms with him going back to 1986, so quite a few years. But through that experience, there's some learned knowledge. And one of the things that I'd like to think I know is never count a storm out until it makes landfall. I mean, that's just my personal take on things. Yeah, there comes a point where you can say this is not going to be a problem and you can let your guard down. But I don't know. If you've lived here long enough, the wandering paths that storms take. But you woke up this morning just like I did. And the first thing you wanted to know was what's the track now of Ida? And you probably were also interested in the fact, is it a storm? Is it a depression? Will it be a hurricane? So I thought this morning we'd answer some of those questions. I spent the last 5 hours next to Chad Sandwell as he broke it all down for me. So let me relay some of that, but also remind you here on our Facebook page, both Chad and Greg do weather discussions. So if you want it from the horse's mouth and you want to hear what meteorologists are saying, that's the place to go. My favorite meme from all of social media yesterday, and it's so accurate. It said yesterday, all of Southeast Texans were virologists, right? Virologists. We knew everything about the virus, what it was doing. And then today, we're all meteorologists because we know everything about the storm, or at least we like to talk that way. Go to trusted sources, go to people that you know, not just somebody who has a good-looking page on the internet, so it must be, you know what I'm saying? Trusted. That's important. People that you trust. That's where you go to get, especially in a time like this. Don't be disappointed if you bought bottled water or you got gas in the car or you pulled the generator out. It's okay. Whether the storm comes here or doesn't come here, that's just a good practice of preparation. To do that, to have things ready to go if you need it. A to-go kit, is always a good thing to have during hurricane season. You never know. Do you want to have to run around pulling things out, shooting video of your house? I've done it. I've been there. I've done it. And then walked out the door, locked the door, thinking this may be the last time I ever come through this door. It's a scary feeling. Makes you very nervous, very apprehensive, very anxious. I understand. All right. So that being said, one quick favor before we look at the information, hit us with the thumbs up, the like, if you do like or appreciate what's going on this morning. As I always say, it has to do with the algorithms And if you get more likes, you get more looks. So more people can share and more people can see. So I'd appreciate if you do it, like, dislike, thumbs up, whatever, but it's interaction with this particular page so that we know you've been here. All right, so let's jump into it this morning. I'm always going to point you, my first stop is always going to be kfdm.com because that's where I know I'm going to find the information from meteorologists, right? So here is the latest. Actually, I think this is probably, I'm trying to look and see. I probably need to update this. But yeah, tropical storm is formed. There will be a new update coming shortly because the next update is at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock. But I just wanted to show you a couple of things real quick this morning. You will hear conversation about spaghetti models. What are spaghetti models? You may already know this. I may be covering grounds that you already know. Spaghetti models usually put out, but here's another one of those trusted sources. This is NOAA and the National Hurricane Center, where you can go and you can look at all their different data. It's accessible to you. It's not like I had to have a special pass to go here. Just go to nhcnoaa.gov and you can see all of these things too. The problem becomes misinterpretation and misstated information. If you don't know how to read the maps and you don't know what the maps really mean, then you may walk away thinking something totally different. This is the latest projection from the National Hurricane Center. The actual point of reference right there, that is Tropical Storm Ida at 8 o'clock this morning. It's about to be updated by aircraft at 10 a.m. It'll be moving that direction. And the key is, folks, the further we get out in the Gulf, the better you're going to know what's happening because then it's closer to landfall, right? This cone goes out the way it does, and it's called the cone of uncertainty because it's uncertain. It could the theory being the center of this could come as far this way or as far that way. Okay. That's why it's called the cone of uncertainty. That's why there's a pink line, from Morgan City, goes all the way, past New Orleans now, well into Mobile, generally speaking. So the idea is the storm can go anywhere inside that cone at this time. There is still, they believe that is a possibility. The closer it gets, the closer you get to the origin, the narrower the projected path, right? Until you get all the way down to where it actually is. And remember too, a storm is not a pinpoint on a map. A storm is pretty broad area as well. All right, so that's the latest track and cone from the National Hurricane Center. All of these pics that you see up here, these are all things you can go and you want to see what probable wind speeds are. You can go and see them. You see how it plays out. If it goes in now where they have it, then, you can see, you can look at the bottom. There's a scale. You can see what kind of winds would be affecting Lake Charles, Beaumont. Again, but knowing how to interpret, that's what makes meteorologists special. Because that's what they've done. That's why they go to school. That's what they know. All right. And then it's all here though. There's arrival time for the winds. If you're one of those people, you can't get enough. You always want more. This to me is a good explainer for you on where this information comes from and where meteorologists get it and the information they're using. And they are privy to a lot more than this. And again, you can get down to where it is now, current wind warnings, it's approaching Cuba. You could do potential rainfall in the U.S. There's the chart that shows you on its current projected path, what kind of rain. You can see we're really, if it goes this way, we are on what is called the clean side of the storm, right? Which would be the eastern side of the storm. So you're not going to get a whole lot of rain. Movement is going this way. So all the rain winds up being on the eastern side. We'll be on the western side, which is the dry side of the storm. It will be the eastern side that will be dirty or the wet side of the storm. So anyway, you can go in there and you can extrapolate all you want. You can take everything that you want out of that, and you can see where all these different things are going, where they're headed. But bottom line, what you really want to know, right, is where it's going, and is it going to affect us? Am I going to have to worry about it? And the answer is, you still don't know 100%, but we're certainly, the meteorologists are feeling much better about what we're at. Why? Because they've run all these models. Let me go one more over. Okay, so there are dozens of computer models that can be run, that these meteorologists are running. And, they all use different formulas. So there's not one, there are dozens. But they choose the ones that have been most accurate historically as the ones that they're going to watch. Now, they call them spaghetti models because there are lots of strands, right? You look at this and you see, 15 or 20 strands going here. Think about that. You can go all the way from here, all the way over to there, look at all of them. But you see the black line, that's the median. That means taking the average. Take this one that's out here and the one that's over here and all the other factors that are involved, and there's a median line that is drawn. Doesn't mean it will be the precise, accurate path. That just puts you in the middle of it, all right? So what they do is they try to boil down, historically speaking, all of these different spaghetti models, all of these mathematical formulas that involve all the different conditions, atmospheric, that are, things that are going to come into play, highs, lows, everything else. And they try to boil it all down into the ones that they feel are most trusted. The key to feeling confident is when the spaghetti tracks go from this to this. You see the difference? That, where they're spread out and you've got a large margin of error there to where you get consistency like this. And that is the current tropical Ida model tracks. That was, I think, 6 o'clock this morning. They're probably even a little bit tighter now because they will continually run these things as airplane reconnaissance as they're out there monitoring the storm and they're reporting back new information. Now, what this gives them, is a consensus of these most trusted models. And most of them at this point, you can see, have it going in just to the west of New Orleans. And if that happens, it could be trouble for the Crescent City, no doubt about that. Then it curves off pretty quickly and it heads off towards the northeast, and it probably will dump a lot of rain. But for those of us here in Southeast Texas, that looks pretty good. In fact, it looks real good. But my point would be this morning, and again, just as a layperson observation, a guy who sits next, been doing around it a long time, I wouldn't exactly put a stamp on it yet. I wouldn't quit watching. I think I would be diligent at least until it gets past Cuba. And then once it gets past Cuba, then you're really going to see all those models. You have a lot of information, and then I think, sure, now I think we can relax it a little bit, but I think you still have to be smart enough to keep an eye on the ball, to this point. Don't dismiss it until you hear, again, trusted voices tell you it's okay. You just keep watching and go about your business, do your things, and feel like, okay. But don't dismiss it until you know for certain. The other thing that I would point out to you, and I'll bring this back up and again show you that you want to check these, is like the times, so you can get an idea of what it's going to look like. You can also go and you can look at the warnings. For example, here's the warnings that are in place, and it kind of shows you the cone of where the National Weather Service and the Hurricane Center feel like this is going to be the issue. You can zoom out if you want to, and you can bring it. Whoops, I went a little bit too far that time, but I can go right there. I can manipulate this, and you can see, unlike yesterday, when you were seeing that cone, and it was coming way over here. It was including Southeast Texas. It has now moved further to the east, and we're not exactly excluded, but pretty close to the edge of that. So until, like I said, until you hear Greg or Chad talk about it and say, okay, I'm feeling comfortable, that's when I think you can let your guard down. But if you have friends and family in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, I think I would be telling them, you might want to be thinking about what you need to do between now and then, because suggestions are at this point, and what I saw Chad saying this morning was the possibility of this being a Category 3 storm, when it makes landfall. So we know what that means. That's a lot of wind, can potentially be a whole lot of rain as well. So those folks there probably need to plan accordingly. Let me look and see comments this morning. All right, a lot of folks talking about what's going on. Is it coming to Beaumont? I hope by now I kind of explained that. No, it doesn't look like it's coming to Southeast Texas, but do not start watching until somebody you trust tells you definitively it's not going to be an issue, because, landfall can shift. We've seen a lot of it. Most of the time when you see that, and a lot of people will say this, oh, I've been living here a long time. I've seen them shift from Corpus Christi all the way to Mississippi and then all the way back. Generally speaking, when that happens, it happens when it's coming in from off the coast of Africa, and you're watching it track across the Atlantic, and then you're watching it come through, the chute there between the Yucatan and Cuba right into the Gulf of Mexico. Long time tracking, and it wavers and it goes different places. The closer it is, I think it's probably fair to say the easier it is to have an idea of where it's going. So again, just keep your guard up, pay attention to what's going on. And I think that we should feel a little bit better this morning when we go out. But don't stop watching. That's all I'm going to leave you with this morning. I'm not going to do anything else. I think we pretty much covered everything that we need to do. As far as what's going on, what I wanted to share with you this morning. Let's see. Let's hit a couple of questions. When are we going to know where the storm is going to hit? Hopefully, Bobby, we've answered that one for you. I would say, listening to the guys, I would think that by later this afternoon, maybe surely by tonight, that you will probably have a much better grasp definitively, without question, that where it's headed, right? Cassandra, good morning. Gayla, good morning. Les says, Greg is the best. No argument for me on that one. Allison, good morning to you. Hey, Marcus. Ashley says, exactly. I'm not sure what I was saying, but okay. Also this morning, Jennifer, thank you. I missed my favorite, Juice Clark. Get to the point. Well, I had to set it up, and eventually we'll get there. But I always think it needs a little bit more. Yeah, I can just cut to the chase, but I was trying to give you a little bit more background on exactly where all these things come from and what they are. I hope I got that across to you. What a spaghetti model is and how these guys use them. I hope anyway, maybe. Melissa says, I'd rather be safe than sorry. Keep us updated. Also, Angie's watching up in Jasper. Jason, good morning to you. I see you're there. Don Gilbert in Lumberton. Barbara Ann Woodson, I'm always looking at Mr. Dan's page from Nacogdoches. Well, thank you, Barbara. Appreciate that. That's really kind of my home territory up there as well, because my grandparents were right there in Nacogdoches. A lot of my cousins are still there. Also this morning, people wondering again about landfall. I'm going to stop now, because I think we pretty much covered everything that's going on. So I'm going to stop there and leave it at that, and remind you that you have a lot of sources for good information, and you have a lot of availability to some really bad information. There are going to be people that are going to be posting up on pages on social media, and they're going to look so official, and they're going to look so accurate, and you're going to be sucked into it. But don't. Again, come back to the people that have been doing this a long time. Watch Greg. Watch Chad. They're sitting there together. Like I said, Greg's been doing this for 40 years, watching all these storms. I think he's got a pretty good track record if you were to look back over time. So know that they'll be back at noon today. They'll update it. In fact, every time there's an update from the National Hurricane Center, they will post one on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on the KFDM webpage, on the Fox 4 webpage. It'll be everywhere. They'll be doing live Facebook broadcast as well. Also know that they're back at noon today, and then 5, 6, 5:30, 6, 9, 10, and continuously until it's not an issue for us. They will keep you updated. They have, I hope that they built that kind of history with you, a history of trust. Anyway, all right. So that is it for me today. I appreciate it. I am ready to go and start the weekend. I don't know about you, but I'm going to go and visit, enjoy my time with my family this weekend. I hope you have a chance to do the same. Remind you again, KFDM Facebook pages. Want to follow me on Twitter? It's Morning TV Dan. On YouTube, you can check out our channel. It's Dan's at Home. Subscribe if you'd like. And if you do, we'll send out little warnings that we're about to do these updates. Again, thank you for your time. Hope you have a great weekend. Stay informed, stay tuned, relax a little bit, but don't let your guard down until you're told it's okay to do so. All right. And I'll see you back here. Hopefully, it'll be Monday morning. You take care. Have a great day.